Okay, welcome everyone to the Judiciary Committee hearing, decision-making hearing this Thursday morning, March 31. We have 20 items on the agenda today. First up is HB 1886. This is related to controlled substances, banned scent products that contain cannabinoids created through isomerizations, including Delta 8. After reviewing the testimony, I just can't justify putting this on the Schedule 1 list, so I'm going to defer this one. Next up is HB 2113. This minimizes regulatory burden and eliminates redundancy by permitting money transmitter applications to submit to either a state or federal criminal record check rather than both. Recommendation on 2113 is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? Sure.
Members voting on House Bill 2113 HD2 SD1. The recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. Chair Rhodes.
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye. Senator Ocasio.
Aye.
Senator Gabbard.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Lee.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is HB 1883. This requires the exterior of the envelope containing the ballot package for elections by mail to include instructions on how to obtain language translation services in Hawaiian and certain other non-English languages. It applies to all elections beginning with the 2024 primary. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions, concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on HB 1883 HD1 SD1. With 6 members present, are there any reservations? Any opposition? Hearing none, recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is HB 2422. This clarifies that sentences for domestic violence intervention for abuse-related offenses shall be imposed with or without probation. The question had been, a court had ruled that you could only do one or the other. So this would say either or, with or without probation. Recommendation here is to make it effective, amended by making it effective upon approval. Any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on HB 2422 HD1, the recommendation is to pass this measure with amendments. Noting 6 members present, are there any reservations or no?
Reservations.
Noting reservations for Senator Ocasio voting on HB 2422 HD1, noting the presence of all members of the committee. Are there any other reservations? Any opposition? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. Next up is HB 1848 relating to student journalism. And I believe that's why all of you are here today. Establishes freedom of speech and freedom of the press for student journalists producing school-sponsored media or university-sponsored media unless subject to certain exceptions. Recommendation is to pass it as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, HB 1848 HD2 SD1 passing unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes? Hearing none, recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much. Next is HB 1743. This is relating to pools. For purposes of the Department of Health's authority to adopt rules concerning public health and safety, defines pool to mean a watertight. It redefines pool. I won't read the whole thing. The recommendation is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Keokloli.
Members passing unamended, are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 2514 relating to underground storage tanks. Beginning July 1st, 2023, would prohibit the operation of underground storage tanks with capacity greater than 100,000 gallons. Recommendation is to pass as is unless the healthcare wants to do something different. Okay, as is the recommendation. Any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing unamended, are there any reservations or no votes? Seeing none, recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much. Next up is HB 1894. This accommodates the use of both traditional Native Hawaiian burial practices and environmentally friendly burial practices by including water cremation and treatment and disposal of human remains. Recommendation here is to let's see, just DOH doesn't. Okay. Right, so this is just technical amendments. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing with amendments. Are there any reservations? Reservations for Senator Favela? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is HB 1475. This requires state legislators and employees to complete mandatory ethics training every 4 years. Our recommendation, it does have a effective date, so recommendations to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, HB 1475, HD1, SD1, passing unamended. Are there any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1789. This requires the representative of labor on the Hawaii Labor Relations Board to be a person whose name has been selected by a simple majority of the exclusive representatives of the collective bargaining units and submitted to the governor for appointment. The recommendation here is to pass unamended. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is HB 2495. This prohibits an employer from entering into or requiring an employee to enter into a non-disclosure agreement pertaining to sexual harassment or sexual assault occurring in the workplace. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1239. This amends the term for members of the Law Enforcement Officer Independent Review Board to 4 years and makes the Law Enforcement Officer an Independent Review Board permanent. Our recommendation here is to pass with an amendment to make it effective upon approval. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Coley.
Members, HB 1239, HD2, SD1, passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1567. This eliminates the use of monetary bail and requires defendants to be released on their own recognizance for certain nonviolent offenses subject to exceptions. Our recommendation here is to make some changes that we have got prior concurrence with. We will add nonviolent Class C felonies to the list of charged crimes with the defendants released on their own recognizance, and will also require that the defendant be released on their own recognizance. Bail is set at less than $100. Did we get the? Okay, I'm not sure we did on that one. So, in the committee report, I'd like to put in that there's one other amendment that I think we should consider at conference, and that's adding arraignment in front of in addition to trial and sentencing at the time of arrest for the exception, so that you wouldn't be eligible for the on your own recognizance under that circumstance. We'll just put that in the committee report. I don't think we have prior concurrence on that one. And there'll be some conforming amendments, and we'll leave the date bad, so we'll see what we get out of conference. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members voting on HB 1567, HD1. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Are there any reservations? Are there any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you. Next up is HB 1891. This enacts the Uniform Recognition and Enforcement of Canadian Domestic Violence Protection Orders Act. So recommendation is to pass with an amendment. The current version in section 6 gives special liability protection to law enforcement of these orders that if a law enforcement officer was enforcing just a domestic order, they wouldn't have. So we're going to make the liability rules the same for law enforcement enforcing the Canadian orders as they would for the domestic orders. And we'll also make it effective upon approval. Any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, HB 1891 HD1 passing with amendments. Are there any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1903. This requires first responders to report on the incident report for each water rescue event, the type of snorkel and mask, if any, worn by the person who's rescued or recovered. Recommendation here is to make it effective upon approval. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Okay, thank you, members. Next up is HB 2169. This clarifies the Department of Public Safety's role is to work with the Department of Transportation and county examiners of drivers to assist inmates in procuring civil identification cards necessary to transition to the workforce. There's still a few questions here, so I'm going to just put a different bad date on it, and we'll go ahead and move it forward. So July 30, 2075, and we'll send it to conference and see what happens. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1412. This requires the counties to provide a minimum distance a vehicle must be moved in a specified time frame after a vehicle is initially inspected for abandonment to avoid an official classification of abandonment. So, Chair of the Transportation Committee, our analysis of it is that it doesn't really do anything. The counties are going to have to pass an ordinance anyway, which they could already do. So if you just need to move it on, I'll move it on, but I don't see that it.
If we could just keep it alive,
Okay,
it's related to some other issues and
Okay,
county vehicle stuff.
we will put a different bad date on it, so it goes to conference July 30th, 2075. And that's the only amendment. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, we are on HB 1412 HD2. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Next up is HB 1991. In counties with populations of 500,000 more, prohibits the sale of bicycles that are reported as stolen and listed on a publicly available online stolen bicycle database. Recommendation is here is technical amendments, and we'll leave the date bad. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Mem-
No, okay.
Members passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. Next up is HB 2006, requires for emergency permits to install sandbags. The Board of Land and Natural Resources include as a condition of the emergency permit the requirement for the attachment of identifying information, including the permittee's contact information and the permit number to the sandbag, so we can figure out who's leaving stuff on the beach. Recommendation here is to pass as is. Questions or concerns? Not Vice Chair.
Members passing unamended. Are there any reservations or no votes?
Reservations.
Reservations.
Reservations for Senators Favela and Ocasio. All other members vote aye. Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. Lastly, we have HB 1768. This exempts the in-stream use of water for traditional and customary shallow cultivation practices from the existing process for disposition of water rights. With prior chairs, subject matter chairs consent, we would like to accept the DLNR amendments listed in their testimony. Hard to describe, but they believe that they will make the process better and more streamlined and make it possible to better figure out who's supposed to do which tasks. I can read them to you if you like, but so with amendments, questions or concerns? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
Members voting on HB 1768 HD2 SD1. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Again, with all members present, are there any reservations or opposition?
Chair, I do want to just clarify, just if it's okay,
Yeah, sure.
just so I know what I'm voting on.
Okay, so the
This is, you're adding as well as commercial hollow cultivation conducted in a manner consistent with traditional and customary native farming practices.
no, it was the one that was in the DLNR's testimony. So for 174C63 changes it to Nothing in this part should be construed to deny the exercise of a paternal right. Right now, it says by the holder at any time, but this language would say including access by the holder thereof to conduct activities necessary to assure the use, delivery, and quality of water, including temperature and turbidity, that should not be unreasonably withheld. And then section 5, which is changing 174C 101, it adds after customary rights assured in this section, including access by the holder thereof to conduct activities, same language basically. So it's an access issue for the, I guess, the headwaters of the.
Okay, that's a separate issue than I was talking about.
Okay.
Okay. So in the original, in the HD2 was removed, this language was removed.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not the same language, I don't have permission to put it back, so.
Okay.
Okay. Other concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Members, again, HB 1768 HD2 SD1 passing with amendments. Are there any reservations or no votes?
Reservations.
So noted.
It does have a bad, it does have a bad date too. So.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's just my reservations on that.
Okay, reservations for Ocasio and Favela. Any other reservations or opposition? Recommendation adopted.
Thank you very much, member. Staff, do we have another hearing this afternoon? 3. 5 joint with HNS. So thank you all for being here. We're adjourned.